8 minutes past 10, the night before the shoot. Getting down to my storyboards. Tomorrow morning we get up at 5 o'clock, maybe a little before, to go down for a pre-dawn shoot down at Greenock. And these scribbles are meant to be the best thing to a storyboard we have. You have a boat, that is that is a boat coming towards you. And this is a shadowy man on the prow of the boat. There he is. And that is the front doorbell.
Who's that?
No idea who it would be at all. Who's that?
Why are we filming you?
Because it's been thought a good idea to have a film about the making of the film. A film about the making of Man Dancin.
Right.
Man Dancin in a cinema near you. Are you going to appear in this film?
I don't know, I might. Didn't you say I was going to do the spray painting?
Yes. What are you going to spray paint?
A car. Oh no, a wall or...
A car will do.
Yes.
What are you going to spray paint on the car?
Blasphemy.
Of some description. That's right. Could you let the dog in? As you were. There's the shadowy figure. And this one, astonishingly says, plus opportune variations. Because we have no idea what it's going to look like, really. That is meant to be a misty ship moving from left to right across a grey frame. Of course, you're doing it at dawn on the hope that it won't be just grey. Apparently, we have one weather forecast that says great and the other weather forecast that says terrible. I go with the great. 5:15, day 1. We'll see what the weatherman has in store for us.
What's your biggest worries for today? Or do you not have any worries?
How do you get past this milk wagon? The one pan left. Pan right. Ah, I see, all my worries disappear. No. Just to make sure the team is operating well, that everyone feels they've got a good day under their belt by the time they finish.
What's been the biggest hurdle to overcome so far?
Getting the money.
A lot of directors, I think, live in ivory towers, but Norman's a hustler as well. He is absolutely full of integrity as an artist, as a director, and all those things, but he's not scared to get down and dirty and make the thing happen financially as well. He'll talk to people, he'll hustle. He doesn't feel that he's too good to phone people up and ask them for money. He's a great operator as well.
I don't think it was a mistake at all to start early the first day. I mean, you draw a line in the sand. You've gathered together a bunch of folks who you like. You've chivied them up and they've shared the vision and they're saying, right, let's make this movie. So instead of rolling out of bed at 10:30 and doing a late start and maybe a late shoot that night, it's best to sound a starting pistol. And it just so happened that this first scene was a dawn scene. It really sent a signal that we were making a film. It really sent a signal that here we go, folks, over the top. The whistle blows, the gun goes bang, and off we go on the attack. What am I doing?
You've got
First crisis.
got to get
I wouldn't say the first.
one toilet roll.
One of the crew just hasn't turned up yet,
So, eh?
and we're racing the dawn. My decision in 3 minutes, we'll be head off anyway.
This is what a crew looks like at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I tell you,
Any thoughts?
I've never seen him before in my life.
Norman came on the set of a film we shot in Berwick-on-Tweed, and it was a glorious experiment because it was a film that the director Vadim wanted to make on his own terms and without having to make any compromises at all in terms of how he wanted to make it, and that involved a very low budget, whilst at the same time it wasn't to look low budget, so we were shooting 35mm Panavision anamorphic, small cast, very, very small crew. Norman came along and this was music to his ears, because I think this is what he'd always wanted to do.
Well, we're going to get a dawn. Looks like.
Now, Norm, what he needs to do is, when he goes out, he needs to turn round a little bit further than his start position. Yeah. Because what needs to happen is he needs to get up to speed so you can get that wash on the, at the front of the boat, okay?
When's it get light then, Norman?
See you now, mate. It doesn't get better than this. This is Glasgow summer.
Okay, Don, if you could turn round now, I'd be grateful.
Steve, you couldn't be a honey bun, could you? There's just pick up a spot meter. Trevor is rummaging around in the back making
A honey bun? A honey bun?
He knows we're getting a govern later, does he?
It won't last. This is day one, take one, slate one. Honey bun.
And when he does turn round, Don, if he can hold his position.
So as soon as that battery's here, then we haven't got up for nothing. Sometimes the only option you have is to use people who are hungry to do it in a way that they may not have proved themselves first. My belief in low-budget filmmaking is maybe they've already proved themselves and they are used to getting a useful pay packet and they'll do a deal for you. And if you get your makeup and your camera and your sound or whatever, and you say, I know it's less than you're normally used to getting, but look, do your best work and here's your paycheck and I'll do everything I can to help you, and you become a band. And you should treat people like professionals they are. Get them to believe in the film, get them to see the vision, and treat them always with value and gratitude. Directors should have always done that, and they rarely do.
Roll it. Go, Don. Action, action, action. Hold your position within the harbour, and I'll let you know what the next shot is. Okay?
It's all pressed up apart from that. But on the turn is when he separates, so he's a figure on the deck.
Very good. Very, very good.
What time is it?
9:45.
How are we doing?
Terrific.
Are we on schedule?
No, we're behind.
By how much?
5 minutes.
We had sort of this smudgy dawn thing, then we had some great sunshine, and then we went down the road. This is all meant to happen in real time in the film, and it starts, the heavens just opened. We could have swum across the set. Undercover, you got a drink.
All right, stand by. Here we go.
My main question to Mike was, will this cut?
Massive changes in light and massive changes in fine and rotten weather are very difficult to cope with. You've usually got to allow yourself time to sit it out, or you know, to write it off and come back and do it another day. But that wasn't an option. So you just face east, really, and hit the deck.
Lindsay Davidson, the costume designer, had to keep that one single suit that Alex had dry, and for continuity that was a real heck of a tough job to ask. So she had a tough start. Alex had a tough start as he watched the damp rising up his trouser legs.
Here in Glasgow we have very sophisticated rain machines. They're very expensive, but they're very, very reliable. It's called Always Raining.
And it's a strange thing about rain. If you backlight it, you see it. If you don't backlight it, you tend not to. And I dare say when you look at the opening of Man Dancin', you won't realise how heavy it was raining. Maybe some puddles give it away. If I'd have backlit it, put the light behind the rain, you'd have probably thought you were in the downpours of Eastern Asia. I mean, it was very heavy at certain times. This is day 3, week 2. Enough of this. Out comes the spray one. Oh, the joys of Greenock filming. The press asked me, why did you come to Greenock? I said, the weather. Did you? I said, which one?
Right.
You're going to zip me.
Only if you ask nicely.
Thank you so much.
This is the full Monty bit.
Personal dresser.
Scotland's a beautiful place, the only thing it needs is a roof.
That's absolutely true. Good. Where's the nearest ark?
It's difficult enough working in the wet at speed, and in fact we had some technical problems which were in part due to the speed at which we were working.
Stop there.
When the heavens open and you pour down with rain, what's your choice? You're going to take your stumps home? You're going to stop playing? there's a certain humour about the situation we find ourselves in, looking at each other under this big umbrella with sheets of water coming around. How many people did we find under that umbrella? Probably about 8. Eventually it gave up the ghost. We ended up sheltering under the door of the van. Thank goodness for flap-up back doors of vans, otherwise we'd have been soaked to the skin even more. Is that right? An hour and a half to wrap. We've got a lot of shots to do in an hour and a half. So can we start as soon as possible?
I'm more or less ready.
Can I have them dressed as they're going to be dressed when they come out? There were a lot of location moves. We were not in charge of the luxury sort of schedule we might have wanted. We had to fit certain things in. We probably squeezed one too many scenes in there that day. But again, with the philosophy of the first day, you actually got people with their adrenaline running faster and their energy untainted at that point. I don't mind filling the first day very full. Not least because people will all look back and say, well, we got through that, my goodness. The second day may well then be comparatively easy.
Not too much on there, but...
You may need half of that because he moves he goes very close for a very good effect.
Over his head.
Yeah, fine.
So you naturally stand it. Show it in the way standard, you can't do that.
All right, well,
You'll naturally stand about here.
Woody? Well, just to help me out, as you've only got an hour to do 12 stand-ups. Your call, not mine. Could we step back in time a bit? Lovely. Because you'll never know from there.
You can still cut this in half?
Oh, yes. No, we still can.
The style of the film settled happily into a combination of what I would call verite, gritty realism, and film noir. Looking at the way natural light and bare bulbs affect quite sort of dark, rather gloomy interiors, it starts to nudge it towards film noir anyway. So it sort of came from that. We built from that, really. If the circumstances are right, you really can shoot without light, although you do tend to want to bounce it a little bit or actually subtract it if you've got something already there. One of the ways of making it interest is to put shadow in rather than light in.
Lovely. That's it.
Okay, here we go.
Getting the position. Now this time, over this way, cameras won't be involved. We always have a Jimmy's shoulder.
Yes.
Over two shoulders.
Okay.
And then I'll go close into the shot on Ron.
Okay.
I've got the light on Ron's face.
I would say about there.
Yeah, and then
introduce.
and Alex, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's lovely.
And Simon, and 2 inches to your left.
That's lovely.
Looks nice. First day.
That's where he is at the moment.
25 to.
Thank you.
Oh, it's only 25 to 5. That's good. 25 to 6. We've been going over 12 hours now.
Right.
But we're still getting going on this one. Last scene.
Okay, we all set? We all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go then.
Now, if somebody's setting me up, I've a right to know.
If you knew who it was, you'd have to do something about it, eh?
Oh, aye.
Well, maybe it's better you don't know. Especially if it's not you they're coming after. Hey.
Good. Cut. Was that a dog I could hear?
Yeah.
I'll use it. You want to know what you've been more than kind? I promise to finish before we start tomorrow. And so it's the nut, it's the down, it's the weight. Yeah. Bib, and it's a short kick, missing, but he'll throw himself back. Okay. So if I can show you, you've nutted him, so it's down on one knee, and instead of going for it, he looks up, is that your best shot? And then it's the kick. So you'll do the old whatever. Imagine that this is these two things are close, right? You walked in here and you got in there.
I mean, can we just work out the logistics of, do you know what today we're on a stage, in a stage way? Because you've got, where are you coming from behind us?
Which is the best way for it?
It's better from behind, because obviously. But it depends on what shoulder you're coming over.
I'm probably coming over this one.
Aye, so it's just
Just
literally,
miss it that way, yeah?
just literally that thing of stopping about that short.
Yeah. Can you practice? My hands.
I mean, you can leave, as long as
It's
you
that.
2, 3
And
inches.
we're at a.
My head will go back.
Yeah, ooh, yeah.
So if you do it again. Let's get that.
One last go. This helped me, end.
Come on, boys! Choppy!
Hey, what's going on?
He was due a slapping.
I'll take it for him. Hey, you got a problem with that?
No problem.
That's good. Now, when you come forward, he was due a slapping, and he says, I'll take it from this. The last thing in the world you'd ever expect. And I think a little look across to your mate. What? And he says, you've got a problem with that. Think of hyenas. Following after, or even lions, hyenas are better than most things. Following after something. You know, you've got, and now you're going to close in and you're going to get him, and he's going to get that slapping. So when you go, doof, and you've caught him by the sly, it's out there, you're still not 100% sure. So it's come on. Honest muscle comes in, doof. Yeah. So that then you want to get in there. And then it's dancing around. But Mr. Nasty comes back, he just can't resist it. It's free, it's Christmas. And it's, and for that one, I'll be down and he'll roll over towards camera. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
Because that's the character.
How long have we been out today, Norman?
I dread to think.
14 hours.
14 hours, man and boy. It's dark again, and we filmed a lot. 35 setups, which is apparently a lot.
Hand-holding cameras comes from French cinema of the 60s. And what's quite interesting about it was that cinema verite was a cinema language in Western Europe. It was taken up by the documentary movement and became the mainstay for the way things have been done on television for the last 30 years.
This image here was so dynamic.
And one of the joys about shooting sequences for drama, handheld, is that there's an immediacy, reacting to the scene as if you are a person standing there looking at all the characters. You're actually doing with a camera what you would do as that person. And they're always very exciting if they translate well.
Yeah, comes up to a halt, the other legs are right behind, the first one, then the other.
That was a classic case too of not being able to wait for weather, because we had all sorts of light changes in that, which actually took a bit of grading out.
Comes forward, he's going to hug him to the right.
Yeah.
And he's going to peel off that way. Yeah. Now you either go high, wide, and let the whole thing happen so you're not there over shoulder, or you go handheld from now on in.
I fancy handheld because I think there's more electricity into it. Yeah.
That's good. Keep under the big umbrella. Well, that was interesting. We've got halfway through a beating up scene, and hang on.
Norman, go in and get set up for scene 9, yes?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay, he's gorgeous, isn't he? It's wonderful in this light.
There you go. We've had to cut and run halfway through the fight scene. It started, as usual in Glasgow these days, with light and dry. It went into scattered showers, and within a couple of cuts it was heavy downpours. Kept on going through all the close-ups and handheld, switched to handheld rather than statics, because it seemed to mean that we could avoid a bit of the trouble and not watch the raindrops occasionally hitting the puddles. But at the time when Alex, as who's playing Jimmy, gets nutted and goes down on the floor, he'd be rolling around in mud and puddles, which will not cut with other things we have. So we've taken it to the nut and the potential fall, and we're now going to have to go away and leave this storm-lashed estate and go off inside to do some interior shots.
Get it up to what we call in the trade CWH.
What's CWH?
CWH is comfortable working height. That's it.
Are we ready to go, everybody? Everyone happy with makeup, costumes, sprays? Slaughter line of Lamsip in the mornings. That's what I say. I love the smell of Lamsip. Is the camera ready? We're ready in here.
Thank you. We're mounting the legs on the track now, and we're literally minutes away.
This isn't going into its hole at all, mate.
Oh, so you're going to track with him?
Yeah, track over to here as he sits down there.
Okay, I'll tell you what you do. You go with him, and then you tighten track.
Yeah, sure.
Norman and I would usually walk through a shot, and he would tell me what he had in mind, and I might tweak here and there, or make some compromises for light, or suggest something completely different. I think if a director is not insecure, they'll be able to question their own original judgment, which is a very healthy thing, or reinforce the wisdom of it.
And then here's the message, because the worst thing of all is that when you have a message and nothing's happening and no one's doing anything, so you move the camera.
Sure, absolutely.
I've just been told by the head office that we're not allowed to book the Neds any other day than today. Haven't got the money. So I've got to go back and complete the rain sodden scene later today.
We're settled and happy as soon as this crowd's gone.
We shot on Super 16. Super 16 enables you to blow that up to 35mm.
And action!
Piss off!
I know they looked at a lot of systems, including HD, but there wouldn't have been the funding for 35mm, because everything is double the cost. 16mm was a good choice anyway, because actually modern stocks are glossier than they used to be. When you blow up, you put back a little bit of the grittiness. So actually to be shooting on 16 and going up to 35 has probably put a bit of that back.
Okay, we've got that. Let's go.
Back of that shot clear, please.
Simon, all of these have to be cleared, as I'm sure you're doing.
That's what we're doing now.
Thank you very much. Good. We have liftoff. Here we go. Stand by.
We moved quite fast a couple of times, well, all the time.
Go for it. Action.
It tends to be a case of seizing the moment, and it's dependent on the take being good, the performances being good. Although they generally are, the great benefit is that the filmmaking profile is less. It's a much more of a workshop atmosphere. You know, you're not clattering around with flags and stands and ladders and, you know, people shouting at each other across the set, whilst actors are getting in the mood.
People got a little tired towards the end, but they worked very, very hard and very, very well. We have 2 shots to pick up at an later stage, but we worked well throughout the day. And only 2 days in, it feels as if we've been filming for 2 weeks already. And it ain't just me that's saying it. If you can afford video assist, get it. Try not to be bound by it. When I first started directing, way back in the mid-70s, I never had video assist. And I'm glad that that's what my training was and my early experience was. You watch the camera, you see the track, you understand the size of the shot. You're working harder as a director, but equally you are making contact with the crew and with the actors. Use it, but it's only a tool. Keep that personal contact with the actors at all times. Let them know you're there. Let them know you're appreciating it, or don't like that and do like this in the nicest way possible.
Twice for me. It came and did it on its own.
By itself?
Norman, it did it.
Did it? It's aiming for you. They're out there under the spotlight, acting to darkness or to a metal eye with a man behind it, or trying to avoid a microphone poking into the top of the head. And they're trying their best to do the stuff. They've got to look to you as a director to see if it's working, to bounce off and feel they're doing it to at least an audience. And who's going to tell them if they've acted well? The director. Got to be. And I've got to be interested. And I don't see how you can do it holed away in a corner somewhere watching a private television show. Have a spring-back chair that throws you out as soon as you finish seeing it, and keep that contact. Tell you what, I see you. You just keep on doing it. You're doing that. It'll be fine, yeah. It's got to look odd. Have you got your white stick?
I've not got a white stick.
Have you got a white stick? I need a white stick.
I suppose most of the time when an actor's speaking to someone, they have eye contact with each other. And what I tried to do with this particular role was to look into space over the other person's shoulder.
Oh, there's the image.
I would be looking at something that's got nothing to do with the person I'm speaking to.
So the idea is just to focus on whatever's in front of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Of course I was hiding behind these glasses.
You look great, man. It's absolutely fine. Absolutely, yes, imagine he bumps into everything.
I'm a musician stroke actor. I've worked in 2 or 3 films before, but I have to say, on this particular film, I know a bit about the character, so I found it easier.
It's great having Jimmy back, isn't it?
I didn't feel any pressure working at all as not being an actor.
I mean, when you was a wee boy, you hung about a lot of puppies, what you did. Mine on sledging, didn't you?
Oh, the list comes up. Now, I think when he said Bury Collarbone, I think you have a grin at that and get back to the music and say a bit of a waste. That's the only bit of advice I can give you, because the rest works pretty well.
Irene's going to get his Parker, okay? So, I know. They'll be literally...
Could we do a walkthrough, please, with Johnny? I forgot the Parker. It's only a scene with the Parker. They're okay though. It's got to look as if you're running, just fed up with it all, you want to get out of there, it's raining, you went through all that trauma of stealing your mother's ring, and he's going to flush it down the loo. I mean, it's just... Tam, show me how you walk with a white cane.
Next one, kid.
And you'll pass, I'll measure your run up for this, you'll pass about there.
What a Derek.
And keep on going straight away. Almost don't break your stride, just a slight thing. Morning, Terry.
Yeah.
Standing by.
Thanks, Mikey. Roll it.
Although the film was being shot very quickly, I think it was due to Norman's personality and just enthusiasm for the thing that you work quicker and you don't feel intimidated by him. You feel as if everybody's there to make the film and everyone is as important, the T-boy through to the main star. And I think Norman gets that message across, which makes it very easy for people to work under.
Got one last shot to go before lunch. We are on scene 48.
Yeah, that's scene 48 and one shot to go before lunch.
Was it Napoleon that said an army marches on its stomach? But they do. Making a film is a bit like a military campaign. And when you've been up early and standing in freezing conditions in the most uncomfortable circumstances and plane getting exhausted, carrying everything everywhere, you've got to treat people well. We had a food wagon every day because we needed it. You don't film in Glasgow on the banks of the Clyde and in some of the areas we were in without giving people at least a bit of a hot breakfast and a decent lunch. It was not a wasted item of budget. It was probably one of the best investments we ever made. I've been forced to try it otherwise at times. It never pays off.
I had the vegetable curry today and it's highly recommended. And the custard you could die for.
It's a very practical, very, very important part of a film shoot, and it works. Time for me. All to get a simple shot that will be worth its weight in gold. I really like the first assistant director on this, Simon. He's a big lad with a big heart and a great line in patter, which I like. I suppose you're wondering what we're doing here today. Oops, we've just had to realign a track. What? I know, so
we're just putting the tarmac down. As soon as we've rolled that, then we're off. Yes, of course we can. That's not.
Tell you what, I'll do this anyway, because it's only a wide shot. Any noise we're going to get is going to get close. Do it anyway. Do it wide guide track, okay?
Okay, all right, stand by, boss.
This first assistant is meant to take care of all that practical organisation, including organisation of the director and keeping him moving along, which is a tricky one because technically you're far senior to him, but yet he's got to move it along. So it's essentially you have a good relationship. It's all right, as soon as I finish laying the M1, we can film. Every time we've been here, it's been deserted. Come here, it's Piccadilly Circus.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a bus I'll start that again. He's in for a horse. I have a bus reversing. I do not want you to stand there, sir. On account of, you'll get squished. So,
I've seen first assistant directors who are very good, but who maybe don't have that human touch or that sense of humour. You can run it like a military operation, you can run it like a grumpy old man, you can run it like whatever you want to do, and it does have an effect on the set. Standing by.
Okay, right now.
Can we turn over?
No, not until I've done it, you can't.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you, man. Oh, he's so waspish. And I would rather have somebody who had the right humanity about them and kept things going with the right spirit than have someone who's technically perfect, cold as ice, and kept ruining the atmosphere. I think Simon was fantastic. I can't wait to work with him again.
I'm going to ask you to work at 9:30. Are you all right with that? Smashing done. Thank you very much. Well done.
Isn't he polite?
Can we have a more?
Just because you're a low-budget movie doesn't mean that you can't be seen and courted and indeed use the press.
Xbox, you know, he's a man dance.
If you've got the right people, if you've got the right approach, you can absolutely and should aim to get press interest. We had a press conference that went very well. Flash bulbs, the whole shebang, even a bit of telly. So they came along, and for without paying a penny in advertising, we were getting features, we were getting whole pages, we were getting double-page spreads about the story of the film being shot in Glasgow, because they needed to fill their papers. And a knock-on effect of that is that people in the area then know you're around, know who you are, and it all helps the PR when you're trying to get things done. Hey, you're in the papers, you're okay.
Thank you.
Filmmaking is X number of days of taking this problem and finding a solution to it, and that's what it's all about. A classic example for a second AD of the nightmare of not having enough extras is that we had done an agreement for the nightclub scene, which we shot in the garage, where the garage was going to provide, I believe from memory, it was about 80 people. Of course, we got there to the nightclub and there was nowhere near the people that we needed. Fortunately, next to where we shot this in the nightclub was a student building where students were staying. So some of us went up and down the halls and saying, hey, who wants to be in a film? All these students came down, they thought it was brilliant, they're going to be in a film. And we had heaps, so problem solved.
I didn't know you cared.
Sometimes you go into a big budget film and there's so many people around, and what half of them do, you have no idea. You know, to get anything done just takes this huge amount of time, whereas on this, very quick, you know, the turnovers, getting scenes done, rehearsals, it's all been very quick and kind of guerrilla filmmaking.
Red Blueberry. Wonderful. Like that. Like that.
Norman's got a lot of energy, you know, he's got a lot of ideas, and with Norman it's a question of trying to find out. He gives you one idea and before you can actually think about it, he's moved on already to the next thing and you're kind of, hold on a second, I need to think about that first.
Can I talk to Maria, please? Jenny. So, you introduce what are you saying? This is Maria. I'm sure you'll get on very nicely. Click, it comes on, the performance.
I did 2,000 Acres of Sky, and that's a BBC drama, and it's very strict. You have to phone the producer and then the executive producer if you want to change a single word. Norman gave us the freedom to express our opinion.
And use it, use it.
He said, you know, if you're not happy with something, just tell me. And if we can sort it out, we'll sort it out. But if it's necessary, then we'll do it. And having that freedom's amazing.
Who'd like to be in this film?
He works so well with people, with everyone around him. You know, the crew, the cast, everyone.
Sitting here. Oh, don't say that. No, no. What's your name?
Claire.
Claire, sit there. What's your name?
Fiona.
Fiona, you sit there.
I think he's a great director, and I think he's an actor's director as well.
And we'll cut. One more. I'm going to have to ask you to move back a little so we can have the light on her face, but also I'm going to ask you now to do one really slinky. You really are going vampy. So you laugh at Don and go, I need to see your face, I need to see you work in the piece.
Yeah.
You are a working girl, that's what he's told you to do. So don't look too much a trapped innocent, because I could feel a slight reluctance if you're going, I don't mind you there, once you get here, it's showtime.
Okay.
Could you do that? I couldn't.
Yeah, really funny about doing it to the producers.
I'm very sorry. I'm sorry.
I know.
That was a mistake I hadn't thought about. Do it. You're an actress. Good luck. Ray Marshall, the producer, played one of the businessmen that Maria, in her days as a hooker, snuggled up to. Ray had to have a very stiff vodka, and Maria nearly died when or Jenny Foles, when she realised she was snuggling up to the producer. It looked so bad. But I said, it's all a story, it's all in the game, and behold, we're finished. We finished more or less on time.
I feel very positive about the film, so it's very difficult to talk in terms of drawbacks. I would have liked a bit more time. I would have liked a couple more people, especially in the electrics department and the grip department. I mean, it was only really possible because we had two wonderful spark-stroke grips, Steve Arthur and Dave Tom, who were just absolutely brilliant. Worked their butts off, really.
You happy to go handheld on the cutaways as well?
Certainly, yeah.
Let the whole thing happen? Watch out for Man Dancin, and we'll certainly let you all know when it's going to happen. In fact, that's a good idea. If you can leave an address or phone number or list, if you're interested in knowing more about it or seeing it as a thank you showing, why don't we do that?
Oh, okay.
Why don't you do that, Simon? Kate, stop trying to hide. Kate, why don't you have a little paper passing round so you can just put the name and number down? Action. Johnny hasn't got his glasses on. Okay. He's not in the shop. He might be there later.
He's doing it. His personal price to crack down on the thugs who've terrorised our community has given us a new life. A new life without the fear of victimisation. I'm sure he'll forgive me for reading the letter he sent me last week.
He's not wearing his dark glasses.
Why don't they just stop it then? For too long now, lip service has been paid to the fears and needs of communities like ours. It is for this reason that we must no longer turn a blind eye to the thuggery which affects those least able to defend themselves. Let every pimp, loan sharp, and petty gangster be warned. We know who you are, and we're watching.
You put them on again.
The road stops here, the road stops now.
Chair. Cut. Very good, very good. Could you put the steps down, just in case we turn that way, it's just narrowing our possible... Just lie them flat.
Roll sound.
And action. And now listen. Whoa. Keep filming. And now listen. These are listening cutaways. Look to the front, everybody. And now a little bit of an applause. And now down. Good. Thank you very much. You've cut there. All right, give it for the goodness of this back shot without actually clapping. That's about as much noise as you can give, Fraser. It's going to feel very strange. Action. Shh.
We've got trouble, Chief.
And exit. And cut.
Cut there.
Thank you. I wondered where you'd go when I said exit. You phoned somebody.
This is a typical scene of how ambitious you are being, which I think is fantastic.
Are you seriously saying that all this is because of some...
We're going to take us into the streets. We're going to take us into the streets. So many gas and cash and transport. Do you know what cash and transport? I mean, that's just a term. All we need is get some cash and some wheels. Do you know what it's getting wheels?
Stop it! Stop it!
Come on, Dad!
Stop it!
Wheels! We're winning, Father. Don't you see? We're winning!
Winning? Do you call this winning? It's a play, for God's sake. You've lost all sense of reality.
I thought it was well written. I was a bit worried that it was going to be a bit happy-clappy. I spoke to Norman about it, but he convinced me that it wasn't going to be.
I want you to tell me about the fire. I want people to be running behind you with hoses and everything else that's going on. It is chaos. There's a lot of smoke.
Then when I turn around,
Yeah, that's it. You want him to help you. You need him now.
There's a whole culture of low-budget movies in Britain now, which is quite interesting. You know, you don't make much money out of it, but it's good to be making feature films because there's a buzz about it. Everybody works as hard on a low-budget film as they do on a big-budget film, I think. Probably better in some cases.
Hello, by the way. Thank you very, very much for coming.
Yeah, on a big-budget film, you feel a bit removed from the centre. In a low-budget film like this, things are much more immediate. You're there, you do the scene, that you don't hang about, you do it. And it's quite often very spontaneous and very real.
Keep moving about. As long as my camera moves, you move, and everyone else moves around, have smoke and everything else, it'll have that touch of reality. I want you to be absolutely, you've got right on your side. You're right. I don't want you to blow it. That's what I'm saying. It feels as if it's a bar and brawl at that point. Yeah. Can you just say it with all that energy to him, we're winning, we're winning. Scare him more. Yeah. But I don't want him pulled off fighting a priest. The whole thing goes. So we're winning. We'll be utterly, utterly convincing and more, but hold it like that. That's all. It looks as if you're going to hit him, and that's wrong. Hold it tight. Go and get that conviction and more. I want to go for it right now. Standing by. Can I have the members of the press? Members of the press. Can you get me the members of the press? Somebody. No? Where are the members of the press? I still don't see the media.
The press are getting kitted out with all the various bits and bobs, sir. Right, I'm lifting the flames now. Here we go.
All the lights flashing, please, on here. Every light we've got flashing now, please. Hello, a real one. Where's Adam? Adam? I thought you said they knew. The real one's turned up. If they want to stay, they're welcome. The real fire brigade have turned up, and we thought they knew about it. Maybe we can have two fire engines for the price of one. That may be right.
The calls are coming in for the M8. People are seeing the smoke, so we've got to act on it anyway. Or they have.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Can we have the press out, please, as soon as possible?
That's the third.
Andy, and have the press out.
Everyone out! Come on! Everyone! Come on! I'm wasting my smoke, man.
Well, tell us about it.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, this hall is burning down, and you're here, sent here to cover it. When somebody shouts over there, you all hurry to find out. What I don't want is too much rooted to the spot. I want you to be moving about, trying to interview this chap, maybe Detective Sergeant Villas, looking at it, making comments, taking photographs, milling about. Do not look at the camera. The firemen are doing a marvellous job. Here comes at least one puff of smoke. If you stand still for too long, it's wrong. Is that all clear? Wonderful. Standing by, lots of moving about. Can I now see the smoke?
Can we have smoke in now, please?
Is there any smoke coming out that window? Ever?
Yes, there is. Gary?
Some smoke's coming here, that's good. Everyone who isn't in the picture is here. Why are all my press here? This is where you should be. Mill about. Come on this way. And keep moving about. Go in circles. It doesn't make any difference. We're going to be doing all this. Keeping moving.
Still and quiet now, please. Here we go.
And action!
Jimmy!
Father, my hand! It's terrible. It's terrible. It's in the hut.
No, thank God. You know the police said it was started deliberately. Now who will do that?
Get them crossing around. Move them. In front of the camera. Well done. Stand by for the cue. And move away when you want. Cut. That wasn't bad at all. How did it look?
It looked pretty good.
What size were you on?
I was on an 18mm.
But where?
There is a two-shot on Father Flynn and...
There?
Yeah.
Okay. Go wider, go smaller, whatever you fancy. It'll be intercutting with that side of the... What are we doing? What a nutty way to earn a living. Hello, Murray.
Gives me horrible urges, that hose.
And action!
You must have somebody's got water. I don't know anybody. Come on, father! We're winning! Did you not see that? We're winning!
You call this winning? It's just a play, for God's sake! You've lost all sense of reality! Jimmy!
No! Over here!
Cut when you're ready.
Just following Father Flynn.
Wonderful. Now, one last shot and we're there.
I'm glad I
did that. Absolutely right. No. Action! Board.
Quick.
And board.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't see what you're seeing again.
Okay.
That was good.
I really worry about this shot. I think it's a cheap shot, Norman.
I've understood you said that.
Yeah.
I suspect you're right. I suspect I won't use it. I'm going to go home with it in.
You've got it, so you can do it.
Okay, but I'll tell you what I think is going to be the end shot. We just shot it before that.
Yeah.
Did you hear about it?
No.
Come here. Mike's over the moon about it.
What's that?
He got Father Flynn. He was following him, and Tom just took off. And he went this. So when you leave, right?
Yeah.
Instead of keeping him a thin character, he took off and Mike followed him. And he went this. Went.
Norman?
Wait 1 second. And he wandered up against the smoke, silhouetted, and just disappeared, lost and lonely into the smoke. And I think that's my shot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go home with what I said.
I know.
And that's it. But trust me on it. It won't be cheesy.
I really... Please don't, Norman, I beg you.
On a movie, the editor is the first line of defense against mistakes. You're basically trying to spot things and flag them to the producer and the director.
Can I just say that this man plays the light works like a maestro? There, you heard it first here. is a visual little cheap car.
I'll show you one last thing then.
One second, I'm going to write this down. The extra shot is Alex throwing bottle, running through night. Light on water.
One of the things that I do like to do is to get the script as soon as possible and go through it, see if there are any structural points that I can flag up to the director before they've even started shooting.
But I thought I needed to show you that because I felt there was something there not quite working.
What was happening was I was told I could see him running up and silhouetted against the headlights.
I also look out for items with a technical or financial ramification. A simple line in the script was Donnie McGlone, the gangster, flicks through the television channels. Now, to have 4 different TV programmes on a TV is going to cost you in copyright fees about £20,000. What home videos have I got that look like they might be legitimate TV programmes? So I raided all my own home footage, prepared that tape, sent it out to location, and that's what they used, and it didn't cost them a penny.
Better, isn't it? That's what I always wanted to do.
You see, what you're doing there is what we'll have fun with together. Oh, I'm looking forward to sitting with my mate Carl. I'm so looking forward to editing now. 2 days to go to film, and I can't wait to get into editing. He's had all the fun. He was sleeping in my spare room, actually, on the floor. On the floor. So this is Glasgow, and the morning is beautiful, which means that when we get to Newcastle on our last day of filming, I bet the odds are it'll be pouring with rain.
Yes.
Cut to pouring of rain sequence.
I would say The Angel of the North by far was the worst day of filming, not only on that job, but certainly on any job I've been on.
The Angel of the North day. Well, I must be perfectly frank here. I tried to talk Norman out of this on a number of occasions because I knew it would be a complete nightmare.
If you actually got a piece of paper and said, right, what would be the worst case scenario, and wrote it down, well, that's what happened.
I went up there to see it on a recce to see if we wanted to do it there, and I figured out how you could do it. And it's a pretty impressive statue and a pretty impressive moment. I wanted them to flee away from Glasgow, away from Scotland.
Don and I actually put down on paper all the reasons why we thought we shouldn't go to the Angel of the North. And I remember I sat down with Norman and I gave him this piece of paper, and he said, I agree with all the things that you say, but I disagree with your conclusion, which was that we shouldn't go to the Angel of the North.
Night shoots are tricky anyway, and when you try and do them with very little lights, and you've got an awful lot to do, 4 times as much as any normal crew would try and tackle at that time, and it's the end of a hugely busy 4-week shoot, maybe we were being a little ambitious.
We had a lot of travel time, so we didn't have much time to shoot it. And Norman said, it's fine, I'll be finished by 8:30, it's absolutely fine. Last day of the shoot, I want everybody to have a good time.
When you embark on a night shoot and it's chucking it down with rain and it's getting dark and you know you're going out on a slippery hillside with lamps and heavy equipment and people are going to be groping around in the dark with torches and what have you, it doesn't fill you with enthusiasm. But of course it got worse.
The Mercedes car that was pursuing the Alex Burns van had to come up and make a dramatic sort of stop.
And come in far too fast in a car that had dubious brakes, if at all.
We just suddenly were all aware at the same time that there's no way we're going to make the mark, because I think Stuart had just seen the mark at the last minute, slammed on the brakes, and not only did we overshoot the mark, but we slammed into the back of the camera truck.
It came up and made a dramatic crash.
And I just remember people leaping out of the way in this sickening crunch as it ploughed into the camera car.
He leapt to safety just in case.
Needless to say, it was pandemonium all the way around.
The sound man, poor old sound guy, who was sitting in the van that this Mercedes crashed into, got the biggest shock of his life.
But I think the thing I remember the most about that was the way Norman handled it.
And then I had a second shot where it had to come up close and the people had to come out.
The car was a write-off. I mean, it wouldn't work, that was it. So we got out and we pushed the car into the frame and had the camera whip pan to the right to give the sense of speed.
There's the famous artist Peter Howson and other people were around at the time, and they ended up pushing this creaking car with no water left in it because its front end had gone, pushing this thing into shot. And when you see it in the film, you won't notice. And that was drama in the extreme.
I take my hat off to Norman in the way he handled the situation emotionally, but also technically came up with a solution on the spot there and then. So that was the car sequence.
At that stage we had 30 setups to go, and the signs were not good.
We still had masses to shoot that night, and you just had to carry on. So all you could do was laugh after 24 days of 12-hour shoots that were not going well.
It's like the hillside was invaded by zombies. There were just these little figures creeping around in the semi-darkness.
The weather just turned wicked. It was so wet that the pursuing gangsters, with their dark suits and cool Glasgow style, couldn't stand up on the hill. They were sliding backwards like manic penguins, flapping and trying not to fall over. When dear Stuart, the bad guy who shoots at the end of the film, disappeared down the hill, I think he got to Sunderland before he could stop. It was crazy.
And we were blue with cold. Blue with cold.
I think we could all have coped if it was, you know, just cold. We could wrap up. But the thing was, it was the rain, you know, and the rain was cold, and it seemed to go right through you into your bones.
Rain looks stunning, whatever you're shooting, especially if it's backlit, but it is the most miserable experience. The best will in the world, it really is the time when you think, well, bugger this, you know, I'd quite like to go fly a kite.
Mike Fox, the cameraman, appeared like a question mark. He hunched over, stuck, he seized up. He said, I'm not sure I can film. But that was not all.
And then there was the armourers. And you cannot talk about Angel of the North without talking about the armourers. Just before we were about to roll, Jerry stopped and said, I'd like the armourers to show me that the guns that have been pointed at me are indeed empty.
Come on around me, gather around everybody, we're going to fire a gun. This is the gun that's going to fire. Don't you worry about anything.
And he was going like that with the automatic weapons. He started with mine, said, look, see, nothing there, look, open the thing, nothing there, like this. And then he grabbed Rob's and started doing that. And as he clicked it back, I noticed, you know that thing where I'm sure I'm seeing a bullet in here. And you're thinking, well, it can't be.
There are no bullets in this gun. They're all gathering round. There are no bullets in this.
And then he pointed it at the ground, at my foot, and pulled the trigger.
Bang!
And I actually thought that he'd shot my foot.
He nearly shoots the third assistant.
And I think it was just the air or the blank or whatever it was. I mean, fortunately it was a blank. But, I mean, that was it. We were all freaked out because an armourer who had just said that all the guns were fine and we had been pointing this at Jerry's head, it suddenly had a bullet in it.
They then tried to let squibs off, which is when you explode. We strapped Alex up with all this exploding stuff.
The squibs didn't go off.
So he dies by scorch. A little scorch mark appeared on his chest when he gets shot. No blood at all. It all went sort of in the way. Oh, what a mess.
And so Alex had to actually massage the squib to get the blood to come out.
Then finally, at the end of the night, we're driving around to do the final shots. By this time, we've overrun. Alex has still got to get the plane in the morning. It's 1 o'clock. We're in a UDA terrorist van, painted up with all the symbols, driving around the ring road in Newcastle, trying to get shots for the fight in the back of the van and all the stuff that, you know, you needed to see people driving and what's going on in the back there for that big sequence. And suddenly we realise we've been followed by the police who've been tracking us. They think we're terrorists. They pull us over, nearly arrest us. We're lucky to get away with our lives.
Tremendous feeling of elation getting through it, but my goodness, it was hard won. It was a heck of a last day.
I wouldn't want to do it again. And I'm not sure there was that much you could have done about it, given certain circumstances. When they happen to you, you've just got to ride the moment and not give up on the vision, or not give up.
The great thing about that last day is it absolutely demonstrated 100% everybody's commitment to the project.
But what a battle. But we won. I think.